Welcome back. You all are doing a fantastic job with this program. You can see that you put the time in. You uh, really studied the SIP program. You're really enjoying learning about the Tai Chi for arthritis and fall prevention. We have a few more things to discuss, one more session before we move to our final movement session. We're going to talk a little bit about Tai Chi principles. Now, as you continue your study and education in Tai Chi and your reading, you'll find that there are many different sets of Tai Chi principles. A lot of the teachers, the ancient texts have principles for Tai Chi. These are the principles that we use. These are Dr. Lamb has selected for the Tai Chi for Health Institute, and the principles we focus on. And the principles transcend all the types of Tai Chi. So you'll remember yesterday we talked about there are a lot of different styles of Tai Chi, and the principles really are what unite all of the different styles of Tai Chi and also assist us in deepening our practice of Tai Chi, right? So we break them into three different categories: movement control, body structure, and internal principles. The first two in movement control, number one is slow, smooth, and continuous movement. That in Tai Chi, our movements are slow, they're smooth, and they're continuous, right? We do this so that it allows us to really get the work of all our entire body. When we move rapidly, we tend to not utilize to the best our muscles, our tendons, all of our intentions, all of that. So slow gives us the ability to have some intention in what we're doing, right? Smooth, that everything, it's not herky-jerky, you're not robotic, but it's smooth and continuous, so that in theory, as you even move on and really work on the extension of TCA, and then there's also TCA Part 2, when you start to put them together, in theory, from when you start and you take that first deep breath and you start that first movement of commencement until the very, very end, as your hands come down and you settle back to that same position that we started in. In theory, it is one slow, smooth, continuous movement that is just broken up into what we call postures or pieces or movements, so that everything is continuous, so that the energy continues to move, that you're not just stopping and starting. So that's slow, smooth, and continuous. Keeps our mind and body connected. Smooth helps the mind stay calm. Continuous helps the eternal energy in the body to keep flowing, right? And the slowness, of course, allows us to give us some intention. The second in the movement control is moving against a gentle resistance. It's that feeling of that I'm not just flopping around, right? I can move my hands, but then if I move in a gentle resistance, I feel that movement, it gives it some tension, it gives it some activation, it gives it energy as I open and close. Those therapeutic bands, I always think about that with open and close, that gentle resistance of a therapeutic band as I open up. And then even as I'm closing, it's still against that gentle resistance. With a brush knee, I'm pushing against the gentle resistance, right? So it allows us to give some energy. It allows us to give that feeling and a sense of movement, right? It strengthens the inner muscles, ligaments, and generates inner power. So you really think about that movement on a gentle resistance. Sometimes we try to vocalize and image that gentle resistance. Some people use the image of water. So imagine being in water. Sometimes people get a little exotic and you think about honey and moving through pure honey, right? Golden honey. And then, or molasses, right? You're moving through molasses. Whatever your gentle resistance is, right? Just make sure it's not concrete. You want a nice, gentle resistance, not a hard pushing resistance. So gentle resistance. Those are the two movement control principles. The body structure, right? We think about an upright body. That notion, you'll notice that I always build from the ground up. When I think about that upright body posture, feet shoulder width apart, weight evenly distributed, left, right, ball and heel, knees unlocked, heels, hips, shoulders, ears in one line. We have that golden thread lifting us from the crown of our head. We have that golden thread from our tailbone connecting us to the earth. Our shoulders are relaxed. We have those ping pong balls underneath our armpits. So you've heard me as we begin to start to kind of build that upright body posture that is a principle, right? So we're trying to, when we start, we want to start from that upright posture, not just slouch in. Even when we were doing our seated practice, we still have that upright body posture. Remember, we were talking in when we were seated that we're not slouching, our backs are not against the chair, we're not just crossing our legs and everything, but we're still maintaining that upright body posture even in the seated position. So it gives us alignment, gives us posture, and then the proper mindful weight transfer, right? Remember, we've talked about when we're stepping, we just don't step and fall into that fall, but we step, get that foot placed, then we shift the weight, and that's going front and back. Same thing. Remember, we sometimes we struggle with when we step back, we just drop our weight in, and we've said, no, we need that gentle weight transfer. So you're stepping the foot back, get the foot all the way down, then we shift our weight back, right? Same thing lateral, you go on to side. In wave hands, we talked about how we're shifting that weight side to side. So it's a nice, gentle weight transfer, right? That allows us to be mindful and to have a situational awareness of what's going on, that gentle weight transfer. And then the third category is the internal principles. The first being song. And we've talked about, sometimes we translate song as relax, right? But it really is to loosen or open up the joints, right? With arthritis, we talked about that type of arthritis that's wear and tear, right? And so we want to open up the joints so we're not wearing and tearing, right? So we can open up our shoulder, open up our elbow, open up our wrist and fingers. And we talked about that in our practice. So we think about song to open up those joints. That allows the energy to flow through the joints easier. We don't kink our chi hoses. We've talked about kinking our chi hoses before, right? So we want to be nice and open so the energy flows through, right? It's this notion of expanding from within, right? And then we have Jing, which is this mental focus, right? This notion of being present in the moment, right? That we are aware of our situation, not only within ourselves, not only in the space, but where we are in the universe, our awareness, right? This focus on movement, being mindful, being in the moment, being present. Tai Chi really does teach us this notion of being in the moment. And even though things may come into our mind, we can acknowledge them and let them go, because as we Jing, as we're practicing Tai Chi, we are finding that, sometimes we call Tai Chi as meditation and movement. We've talked about Qigong as well a little bit. And so how Tai Chi can have that same type of meditative practice so that it allows us to be present in the moment. So these are the 6 essential principles we use in the Institute and in the Tai Chi for Health programs. 3 categories, 2 in each. And this is how we can deepen and make more full our Tai Chi, practicing the principles, right? So then if you've had a group that maybe you've been through a cycle of sessions, maybe once or twice, and they want to do something new, well, then that's when you really start to integrate the principles, because once they're familiar with the movements, then they can take it deeper. I really enjoy integrating the principles in class in the warm-ups, right? Because the warm-ups, we do the same warm-ups every single class. So it doesn't take long before your participants will be familiar enough that they're not concentrating on which hand moves, which foot moves, how do I do this, how do I do that. They can release themselves and begin to concentrate on other things. So that's where you can begin to integrate the principles, right? So maybe that first one, that first neck, and our hands are coming up. You can think about that gentle resistance, right? You're moving and you can focus on that resistance. Or somewhere you can think about slow, smooth, continuous movement, right? Or body posture, right? And so you can move through the warm-ups and begin to integrate. Maybe you plan on working with a particular principle for that day. You can integrate it in the warm-ups, and then they have it in their mind. And then when you come to the back part of your practice, where you're just practicing and integrating and working with the posture that you learned that day, then you can begin to integrate that principle that you're working on. And remember, it is best to kind of work on one principle at a time, even though they're all working all the time in us, to focus on one principle at a time instead of I'm going to try to work with all 6 principles, and it becomes less effective. So work with them one principle at a time, right? So the principles are a good way to deepen our practice, to allow people to explore, and the deeper and deeper and deeper with each layer of Tai Chi, right? I've been practicing the Tai Chi for arthritis form since 2013 is when I first got certified as an instructor, so about 11 years. And every time I practice, I might find something new, even after over a decade with this posture. And I've been practicing Tai Chi for over 35 years now, and even going back to Yang 24, which was the first form I learned, I still find newness and freshness as I integrate the principles and take my Tai Chi deeper and deeper, even though I'm doing the same moves I've been doing for almost 40 years. So you can find some more information on the principles in the book as well. You can also utilize these principles to improve your own Tai Chi, right? The first section in the book, right, kind of deals with how to improve our own Tai Chi. One is to integrate the principles. We need to be practicing our own Tai Chi to be better teachers, right? I have also found that the more I teach, the better learner and practitioner I become. So as I'm teaching, I'm also learning. I learn as I prepare for the lesson. I learn from my participants, right? Sometimes my participants will go, I just experienced this as we were doing that. And I go, wow, let's think about that. Let's play with that. Let's work with that. And so I get to learn from other participants. I learn when I go work with other teachers. I continue my training, and I work with a wide variety of master trainers and teachers, and including Dr. Lamb. I'm always changing my outlook on things whenever I work with all of the teachers that I work with, because I am constantly learning. Tai Chi is a lifelong journey, not a moment, but a lifelong journey. So we become maybe a step or two ahead of our participants on our journey of learning. So broaden yourself, broaden your Tai Chi. Once you really get comfortable with this set, maybe you find a new set that complements or is the companion or brings balance and harmony. There's a lot of Tai Chi that we do in the Institute, and so it's always broadening. It's always nice to especially when we gather the week-long workshops or just in workshops in general, and I hear people say the same thing in different ways. And so I'm always taking a new way of explaining something or a new way of saying something to help communicate what we're trying to pass on to our participants. So it's always nice to broaden, to expand. That's that's why this is really a community that we work in, that we practice our Tai Chi in, and we're connected, and we learn from each other, and we're passing this Tai Chi energy from one to another. So you can utilize the principles. Of course, the book has 3 chapters on what you can do with improving your own Tai Chi, right? So that you can pass that information on to your participants. Now, you might say to yourself, okay, how do I get those participants? How do I start a class? Oh, you're already thinking about that. That's a great idea, right? So there's sections in the book on starting a Tai Chi class. The first one really is what audience do you really want to focus on? You can just put a flyer on, I'm going to teach Tai Chi. Well, it's best if you think about an audience, right? So maybe I'm teaching at, I'm going to approach the senior center in my area. And that's a specific target audience, as opposed to just going to, maybe there's a gym, or a lot of times a yoga studio will be looking for a Tai Chi instructor, which is a very different audience for your Tai Chi. Maybe I have a weekly class that I work with that's they all have Parkinson's, and so there's about 25 of us that gather on a weekly basis, and they're all living with Parkinson's, and so it's a very specific class. So it's really determine your audience for who you really want to think about bringing a Tai Chi to, and then develop different audiences, right? So I have my senior center audience, and I have my Parkinson's audience, and I have my yoga studio audience, which is a very different. And then I just have this in our studio where people just in the neighborhood come. So think about your audience. The second thing is to think about the venue, the place where you want to do it. Like I said, I said earlier that sometimes I feel like a gypsy. I travel around more than I teach in the studio here, and so I'm really thinking about the venue. And when I go visit, someone says, "Hey, we want you to come in and teach Tai Chi." I'm like, "Hey, can I come in and see the space?" And how does it feel? Is it conducive for a class? Will it work? And so really think about the venue. If I'm teaching Tai Chi for arthritis for fall prevention, and I'm looking to serve older adults, I don't necessarily want it on the 4th floor of a building that they have to climb 3 flights of stairs to get to, right? That becomes constrictive to the people who will be able to attend my class. So really take a look at the venue, the accessibility of where we're going. And just kind of really, a lot of it is the overall feel of what the room, what the building, what the space looks like, right? And then it really is, how do you intend on marketing your Tai Chi? The marketing in the world is very different. We used to pass out flyers and brochures and all that. And now a lot of what we do is on social media. So you're looking at getting on Facebook sites or websites, or using all of the social media platforms. A lot of times, depending on what venue you're in, if they have some sort of newsletter, whether it be printed or electronic, you can get the information in their newsletter. You can pass it on. A lot of times it's saying to people, hey, it becomes a word of mouth. Hey, can I come speak to your group? I want to let you know about this Tai Chi class that I'm starting. And so a lot of it is word of mouth, social media, print material, newsletters, signs, things like that. It's very different than in the day of passing out flyers and brochures. It's a lot more directed in how we are able to notify people of our classes and our workshops and things of that nature. And then another thing you need to think about starting a class is financially. How much Do I have to pay rent to the space that I'm using? How much do I need to pay for marketing? What do I need to compensate myself for my time? Our time is valuable, and so don't sell your own self short. Sometimes we go, "Oh, I don't need to take money," but then we're make sure that we're valuing our own experience and our own time in our own presence in the space. So make sure that you're taking care of yourself as well, and is finding the proper price points. What are classes going for in your area? So sometimes it does take some research on on finding the proper price points and what financially you are able to accomplish. And am I settled in this class and with this group that allows me to explore possibilities at another group or at another location, things of that nature, right? So there is a whole section, another 3 chapters in the Teaching Tai Chi Effectively book, right? That'll help us with on starting a class and maintaining a class and keeping the class going, right? So part of the program is that once you get a class going, it's really staying true to the program. You've heard me say throughout these last couple of days, we need to follow the program, to stay true to the program. We call that fidelity. We have some fidelity to the program, right? And we do talk about a dosage as well. So when we want to put this program on, the study and research that's done on this program comes up with a dosage. We hear about when you take medication, it's about the dosage. The same thing is true here. We want 16 hour-long sessions is what we're looking for. Now, that can be 1 session a week, 1 class a week, or 2 classes a week for 8 weeks, which gives us that 16 sets, a set of 16 classes, right? So one way or the other, either 1 class a week for 16 weeks or 2 classes a week for 8 weeks is the proper dosage of this program. And part of the fidelity to the program is that you are a board certified instructor in Tai Chi for arthritis and fall prevention, or also whatever Tai Chi for health program that you're going to be doing moving forward in the future, but you need to be a board certified instructor in it. That shows that I continue to maintain my the proper education, the proper instruction, proper way, my fidelity to the teaching of this class as well. So board certified instructor. We also are asking our participants to practice to try to practice a half an hour a day, 4 times a week, right? So we say, hey, it's not only about what you're doing here in class. We find, and you've heard it in the SIP program, Dr. Lamb said, 5 minutes is better than no minutes, 10 minutes is better than 5 minutes. We're really asking our participants to practice about half an hour, 4 times a week, which adds to the success of their participation in the program. They also have the online lessons that they can utilize, the DVDs they can utilize. They can get wall charts, the handbook. You can show them where they can access other information. So as they begin to deepen their Tai Chi, they can find all kinds of resources as well, and to really encourage them to not just show up for class for an hour. The benefits really start to come when you begin to integrate it into their daily lives, right? And that's what brings the depth of their Tai Chi. As you can see, they're practicing at home. As you can see, they're utilizing some of these other resources. It really does improve their Tai Chi, which then improves your Tai Chi and your participation and your instruction. And really, and then maybe people are noticing the difference in their lives, and they go, well, what are you doing different? And they go, well, I take Tai Chi. And then that expands this world of Tai Chi. So, yeah. So remember, the dosage is 16 sessions, either once a week for 16 weeks, twice a week for 8 weeks. You maintain board certification, that you encourage them to practice half an hour a week, at least try to do half an hour a week 4 times a week, half an hour a day 4 times a week, right? And then let them know the resources that are available. When it comes to resources, so of course, we're going to be done today, and I'm going to notify the Institute that you have successfully completed that, when you're successfully complete with the program, and you will get an email from the Institute that invites you to become a member of the Institute, right? And so the email will tell you how to do that you pay your board fee, right? The board fees are paid annually. So every year, currently the board fee is $40 Australian, 40 Australian dollars, which currently around today is about 27 to 28 US dollars. And those are paid annually. So your board fee is paid annually. Then you update on this program. In 2 years, you'll get an email about 6 months out that says, hey, your certification in Tai Chi for arthritis and fall prevention is about to expire. So you'll just need to do a recertification process, and you can contact me or another master trainer, and we can help you walk you through that recertification process. So you recert every 2 years. Your board fee is every year. And when you pay that fee, you get listed on the website, which is tchi.org. tchi.org is the Institute's website. You'll get listed as an instructor. You'll get in the email to tell you how you can go on, and you can make your profile. You can put your classes on there. It'll have all of your certifications. If you pulled me up, you'll see I've got a whole list of certifications, and it'll tell people that I teach this and I'm certified in that. And so you'll do that. And also, when you go to the website, all the studies we've been talking about on the Tai Chi for Health programs, a lot of the studies are up there. There's links to the studies. There's links to the online lessons, right? It'll take you straight to online lessons. You can register for that, and you can find different programs. The global community section of the online lessons is wonderful. There's a ton of videos up there from the newsletters, from a lot of the classes and workshop sessions that Dr. Lamb has done. There's videos up there from prior workshops. There's some travel videos. There's some community videos. There's videos from senior trainers, master trainers, instructors that are up there that assist in a wide variety of topics in Tai Chi. Dr. Lamb does a monthly forum, online forum for instructors. So being an instructor, you can come on once a month and has a wide variety of topics. In fact, the last set have been on the principles of Tai Chi, actually. So, and if you go on online lessons, you can find those recordings of those lessons. And so you'll be able to participate in those forums from everyone around the world. Those are wonderful forums as you get to talk to and participate with people around the world. And it allows people to find you, right? So if someone in your area is looking to study Tai Chi, they can contact you directly and ask you about your classes. And so I get contacts all the time from people that have found me through the TCHI website. In fact, my Parkinson's group, the owner of the studio, found me through the website. So it's a wonderful way to stay connected. We talked about how this is a community. This is one way we have communities. The workshops are on the website as well. You can find Dr. Lamb's workshops. You can also find the Master Trainers workshops all over the world. If you'd like to travel, you can find them all over the world, right? But also when there are workshops in your area, you can find when Master Trainers are doing their workshops. And it'll also on the website, if you teach virtually, it'll note that as well. And so, and the Master Trainer workshops also list whether they're in person or virtual. And you can, if you'd like to move on after a while to explore another Tai Chi for Health program, you can find when those workshops and instructor programs are occurring for that. But it's a wonderful way to stay connected, to stay part of the community, to stay updated, to deepen your own practice. We talked about improving and maintaining our own practice, and also being familiar so you can communicate that information to your participants as well. A link to the Tai Chi Productions, which is the shop, right, where you can get these beautiful blue shirts, right? Or you can get the books, you can get your wall charts, you can get all sorts of the music. Dr. Lamb has specifically had music produced for our Tai Chi for Health program, so you can find all of that stuff on the website as well, and the link for Tai Chi Productions will take you to that. Right? Here in the United States, we have the United States Tai Chi Community, USTCC. The website is ustcc.org. I actually for the last 2 years, have served on the board of directors. I'm continuing to serve, so I'm on the board of directors of USTCC. USTCC is the U.S. community that helps support Dr. Lamb in the Institute. We do a lot of work with the United States week-long program. When Dr. Lamb comes and puts on the week-long program, we help support that. We provide scholarships for tuition. If you're a member of USTCC, you can apply for a scholarship to cover your tuition to the week-long event. The first time I attended a week-long event was on a scholarship. It was for a lot of us. That's how we were able to attend that first one, and then we really catch the bug, and then we find ways to continue on in our process there. Through USTCC, you can also utilize. We have a group insurance policy through Philadelphia Insurance. You can get your personal liability insurance. We talked about that previously. Through being a member of USTCC, and you can participate in the group insurance program there at of course, a reduced cost if you try to get it yourself. We also have professional development seminars. We put on practice sessions. We have meet and greets at the week long. Sometimes we'll assist master trainers as they're doing their workshops around the country and around and so we might provide support for those as well. So it's a wonderful organization, $45 a year for that. If you're interested in that, that's full membership. And it's just both of those, the Institute and then the community here in the States, are ways to stay connected, to stay informed, to deepen your practice, to be able to gain skills to communicate Tai Chi to your participants as we continue to bring Tai Chi to the world. It's a wonderful experience. It's a wonderful community. You meet people literally from all over the world, and we find our commonality in these communities, and we find ways to continue to stay connected one to another. So, that's the last session, and we're going to move on for our last movement practice. Thank you.